there are legitimate debates to be had about the levels of UK immigration, too high, and the number of people not working and claiming benefits, also too high. But they can be had without descending to, we've been overrun, colonized by foreigners. Nonsense. We haven't. I'm in England, and I know it's not been taken over by radical Muslims. The government of the UAE, they've officially restricted students from enrolling in UK universities due specifically to Islamist extremism. So, England is a stupid place. And England is pretty much done. We've talked about that. Piers Morgan, I've been on his show. We're friendly. We disagree on a whole lot. He is wrong in his outrage, offense, descriptors, whatever you want to call it, in responding to this. So let me tell you why England is done. And that if the left had their way here, we would be done for the same reason. When objective descriptors are considered hate speech, your society is over. Meaning, we haven't gotten to the point of prescriptions, right? We haven't gotten to the point of, okay, here's the problem, here's how we deal with it. That's where we should be disagreeing, generally speaking. We do need to be able to have a shared common language in descriptors of a problem. So when terms like immigrants or, for example, overrun or unsustainable or increased crime, when objective descriptors over which there can be no debate as far as their accuracy, when they are considered hate speech, your society is done. Because that means that you've been fractured from within. That brings us to the story that involves, British billionaires, Keir Starmer, Manchester United, Piers Morgan, as I mentioned. So the Manchester United co-owner, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he made the statement that the UK has been colonized by immigrants. And all he was pointing out was a statistical reality. And keep in mind, it's not lost on me. He says 2020 when he means to say 2000 in this clip.
At the moment, I don't think the economy is in a good... You can't afford... you can't have an economy with 9 million people on benefits and huge levels of immigrants coming in. The UK is being colonised. It's costing too much money. It will cause... It'll cause... Well, yeah. The UK is being colonised by immigrants, really, isn't it? The population of the UK was 58 million in 2020. Now it's 70 million.
2000, but
that's 12 million people.
You met recently with Nigel Farage, didn't you?
I did.
Do you think that they would be a good government if they were to win the next election?
I think Nigel is an intelligent man, and I think he's got good intentions, but in a way you could say exactly the same about Keir when Keir came in.
Totally sensible answer. Now, the left uses the term colonized all the time, right? And what they really mean is the most recent successful civilization, because I don't know if you know this, you would apply that same terminology to many Native American tribes who enslaved others and took over their land. When he is describing it accurately, and by the way, being quite respectful of people over whom he's been critical in the past, you'd think, okay, this is an opinion based on an objective fact. Now we can get to the prescription and see where people disagree. Instead, Ratcliffe's words were treated as though they were the worst thing that has ever happened since the Blitzkrieg.
But what Jim Ratcliffe said was unacceptable. It was disgusting, frankly, and he should apologise for his remarks.
The Mayor of Manchester, Andy Burnham, has come out to say his comments go against everything for which Manchester has traditionally stood, a place where people of all races and faiths have pulled together to build our city and our institutions, including Manchester United FC.
Races in the Red Card has put this out on social media, saying language of this kind echoes narratives that have historically been used to stigmatise migrant communities, fuel division and legitimise hostility towards minority groups. At a time when hate crime is rising and communities are feeling increasingly unsafe, public figures must recognise the weight and consequences of their words.
We've got yet another billionaire who wants people to think that immigrants are the problem and not billionaires like himself.
Are there roaming billionaire rape gangs?
Right.
That I don't know about?
Oh, no! Zuckerberg's got a summer cottage. Protect your arsehole. It's just, he gave you numbers.
Yeah.
And then he used a term that's one of your favorite terms, those on the left, to try and draw a comparison that you would understand. Numbers are now hate speech. The UK is done. So Keir Starmer added to that, offensive and wrong. Britain is a proud, tolerant and diverse country. Jim Ratcliffe should apologise For what?
Whatever.
The English Football Association is considering investigating. They wrote, whether Sir Jim Ratcliffe has brought the game into disrepute by claiming that the UK has been colonised by immigrants warrants investigation. It doesn't. It's time for Claim Truth. First claim that you'll hear, all references available, links in the description as we do every show. No, the UK isn't being invaded, guys. That's why it's offensive, because it's wrong. According to Piers Morgan on X, he wrote, there are legitimate debates to be had about the levels of UK immigration. Too high. And the number of people not working and claiming benefits also too high. But they can be had without descending to, we've been overrun, colonized by foreigners. Nonsense. We haven't. I'm in England and I know it's not been taken over by radical Muslims. Okay, here's the truth. England is being taken over.
Well, crap.
Why does it have to be radical Muslim? Why can't it just be anybody?
It could just
That's what colonized is.
It could just be some of the 198 million Muslims who believe that violence as a means to political ends is justified against it. It could just be those, not radical mainstream.
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah, about 200 million. But if you look at the population, it's 3.9 million there. Okay, it increased 44% from 2011 to 2021.
Jeez.
25% of school-aged children in London are Muslim.
25%.
Combine that with a birth rate problem, one generation, that number becomes all of a sudden not a minority. It tips fast. And you know who else is saying that the UK has an Islamic extremist problem? No, not the United States. No, not Donald Trump. The government of the UAE. They've officially restricted students from enrolling in UK universities due specifically to Islamist extremism. Get that, just make sure you understand this.
Yeah.
The UK's Muslim extremism is too much for the UAE to handle.
Don't send your kids there. They could be radicalized.
Sorry, Stelter's on TV's distracted. And here's another truth, by the way. Yeah, I think that they don't have quite the same constitution that we do. So, it's not like you cannot juxtapose Sharia law and our constitution. But let's just get to something objective here, this truth. These immigrants, beyond religion, beyond values, they're freeloaders. They're freeloaders. Migrants in the UK, they cost taxpayers $12 billion a year. So an example, 72% of Somalis in the UK live specifically in social housing. And in the UK, you say, why make it race? Because you guys did. In the UK, whites are the only group with a net positive tax benefit.
Son of a gun.
UK whites. White people are the only group with a net positive tax benefit. So if you say, well, why do you have to single out white? Because it is literally singled out statistically as the only net tax benefit. I didn't do it. And if you consider that hate speech, well, now objective descriptors are hate speech and your society will cease to exist. Pierce is nice guy, but wrong, a fool on this because the UK is officially the new Pakistan.
Time to make a fool of Piers. Population math time. Tell us just how many years it took to make the UK Pakistan.
It's my dad's favorite band.
It's catchy. By the way, he unless there's another conversation going on that he was commenting on, that's not what the Manchester United co-owner said. He said immigrants. He didn't say Muslims. Piers, why did you go straight to Muslims?
Right.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't mention radical Muslims.
Yeah, I think you're seeing a problem that you're trying to defend against. You kind of outed yourself a little bit there, it seems.
Yeah, and I, just to be clear, I don't want to play that game. When I say I mean Muslims in the UK.
No, we do.
Yeah, we do. In the United States, we don't. It's a portion of it, but in the UK, that's the problem.
Maybe there was another conversation.
Yeah. By the way, that brings us to truth number 3. So we've gone through, the demographic changes. Yes, the tax perils or budgetary perils. And the other one is many of these immigrants are, in fact, you hear this lie all the time that, immigrants are more law-abiding than native-born citizens. It's not true. They're menaces to society in the UK. So MI5 has a terror watch list. 39,000 out of 43 are Muslim. 43,000 total, 39,000 of which are Muslim.
Whoops.
Let me give you another number. So you go, well, yeah, but that's not that many people, right? Overall, 43,000 is a small sample size. Okay. Let's give you a per capita number. 1 out of 100 Muslims in the UK are on the terror list. 1 out of 100.
43,000 is an entire MLB stadium.
Yeah, it's actually more than the entire fighting force of Hamas.
Well, they just transferred to the UK. They're
Yeah.
just home base there now.
So you have those objective stats. If those are hate speech, well, then I'll speak a language that the left can understand. I'll give you the anecdotal. Guys like to go to that. Just this week, there was an Afghan asylum seeker found guilty abducting and raping a 12-year-old girl. Now, when you combine that with a government that has a vested interest in hiding the activity of roaming, grooming gangs, how bad do you think it really is? These are the official numbers from a government that we know has been found to be untrustworthy in their bias in trying to present migrants in a positive light. Think about that for a second. And then let's just go to one other fact. People go, well, it's not that big of a number. You don't need a majority of the population to destroy a country. So let's use Britain as an example. During British rule of India, there were about 100,000 to 240,000 Brits, depending on the numbers you use. They settled, there were 300 million Indians. The total British population, it never exceeded 0.1%. So colonization can happen with a very, very small percentage of people there. They just have to be more effective. In this case, it's not that they are militarily effective. It's that we have a suicidal society who is silencing those sounding the alarm. And who's left holding the bag? Who's left dealing with the consequences? You in the UK, and it will be you here in the United States. I know people will say, oh, this is the same thing that happened with all generations. The Irish, well, first off, they had yellow fever. That was a problem. But Italian, no, it's not the same thing. Pre-welfare state, post-welfare state, very different, and an ideology that is based upon the idea of invading, outbreeding. We've shown you clips where they say that quiet part out loud. Yeah. And subjugating a society, period. That is different. The Irish, the Italians, and I understand there were issues with Catholicism back then in the Vatican. That's not lost on me. We've discussed it. They weren't coming to the United States with the express purpose of subjugating the country. That's what a huge percentage of Islamic migrants in the UK are commanded to do according to their holy book, and they're a net drain on taxpayers, and they commit crimes at record levels. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you two questions. Do you believe that the government's job, assuming it's not corrupt, right, assuming you live in a westernized, free society, do you believe it's the government's job to act on behalf of its people? Is that its job? Not do they do it, is that its job? Okay. The answer is yes. Question number two. We've seen the net negatives. Can anyone give me a net positive for the people of the UK? Not for the feels, we are the world, globalism. Can anyone list me a net positive of this record influx of migrants?
Well, that's why they claim you can't call it colonization.
Right.
Because according to their definition, colonization is when someone comes and makes the place better.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the gays in Chelsea.
By the way, I
Yes.
I needed admonishment.
Actually.
I was looking for an opening on Piers where there wasn't one. I apologize.
No, he was
Piers
responding to it
was
directly.
responding to Megyn Kelly directly
Okay.
in that one. And they were talking about Muslims. You still suck.
It's
And
okay.
So do Arsenal. So get over it.
That's fair. That's fair.
This is my bad.
I'm talking
My bad.
about Muslims.
My bad. We are talking.
We're talking about the United States. Sometimes I'm talking about like Venezuelans and stuff.
It was,
UK, it's Muslims.
it was such a problem that when India and Pakistan were getting a little feisty with one another, we were wondering when the war was going to break out in London because
Right.
of the populations of those two groups in London.
Yeah.
It was a giant number of people.
That's what happens when you have people in your country who don't have skin in the game in your country.
Yes.
But they still have skin in the game in the old country.
Well,
That's
they don't
the
have
problem.
skin in the game in your country, and also instead of protecting their citizens from rape gangs potentially and all the other stuff that we've seen going on over there, they're like, no, we have to defend these other people.
Yeah.
We're actively not defending our own citizens. We're prioritizing these other people.
Yeah, so I'll just wrap it up with, look, we all have different opinions, and I understand that people have different solutions, even amongst the right, but objective reality cannot become taboo. It can't become hate speech.
Right.
We saw what happened with that during COVID, during the 2020 election on YouTube, big tech platforms. We were demonetized. That's why we rely on support from people like you. Hey, if you want to, if we've earned it, click that button below. All the investigative journalism that we've done, we broadcast here every day with less than, 50th of commercials of other places. Consider joining up for $99 a year. You get a hand at Schmug, or $9 a month, and it helps us keep the lights on. If not, hey, 11 a.m. weekdays, we are always here, even on Friday. Even on Friday, even if it's not broadcast wide. Oh, you're still here watching this on YouTube? There's no more. It's over. Just like YouTube. YouTube is over. It's not a thing anymore. How many Seth Meyers clips do you need? Head on over to Rumble. Follow me there. Live on weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, where we can actually speak freely and don't have to self-censor. YouTube it's really not a thing. Like, you ever seen one of those towns that maybe was like a mining town, or maybe they made some kind of alloy? You say, hey, I wonder what they did in this town. It takes a while to find a person who can tell you what they did in that town, and even then you don't fully understand it. That's YouTube. YouTube is that town. So go to Rumble.